Jerry, Jerry. That's always bothered me that it's spelled like a guy's. Jerry Kay Huckabay. And my maiden name was Boggs. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and 1948, January 13th. That makes me 68. And I wanted to go to college, and some of my friends were going to KU, which was like 25 miles away, Kansas University, when we were in Kansas. So I had no money whatsoever, and I went to the school counselor, and I wanted to get student loans, and he says, "There's no way." He looked at my mom's income. My dad was gone at that point, and he looked at her income. He says, "There's no way you're going." Well, I got a loan, and I got a real small little scholarship from one of the banks, and I went. And my mom made me 2 or 3 outfits, and I went 25 miles away to college. But I didn't have much money. It was really hard. I didn't have many clothes. We weren't wealthy. I was in a dorm. There were a lot of girls in the dorm that had a lot of money.
Hi, my name is MaryKay. I was born March 6, 1959, so I am 57 years old. I'm a graduate of UW-Milwaukee alumni, and I also have a minor in women's studies. So I would have taken women's studies classes from 1977 to 1981. One of my memories of women's studies classes was the book Our Bodies, Ourselves. I don't know if you still use that book, but I'm from a small town in Wisconsin. It's called Waupaca, Wisconsin. And I took that book home over Christmas break one day. It was part of one of my women's studies classes. And I was working on our dining room table doing my homework. And my father saw the book. So this would maybe be like 1979. And my father was so offended by this women's studies book. I do believe there were some naked bodies on the cover. Not totally naked, but some parts. That he said I could not have the book in the house. And he wouldn't let me do the homework. And he said if he saw it again, he'd burn it. I always wanted to go to law school. That was one of the things I wanted to do, and I remember talking to my dad about it because there was going to be a lot of money. For me, it would have been all student loans. And his advice to me was not to get any further education because what man would like a woman that had more education than he did, was pretty much what I was told. And he didn't think I'd get a job. So I was like, well, at the time, I guess that made sense to me. So I never did go to law school. I mean, I could have after I was married. My husband strongly encouraged me to do it, but by then it didn't seem that important, but I do remember that advice. And then I did get a degree from Roosevelt University in Chicago for a paralegal certificate. And some other brilliant advice I received was, don't come back with an African-American boyfriend or you won't be welcomed home. I know.
Puerto Rican instead.
Yeah, I ended up marrying a Puerto Rican, that's true. But to this day, my father thinks my Puerto Rican husband of 27 years is Italian.
And I went to Kansas City and got a job. I went to work for, I had worked the summer before I went to college as an intern at a insurance agency, and when I went back to them, they hired me as a secretary for one of their managers. And I had my mother, when I was in high school, I had wanted to be a nurse, but I passed out at the sight of blood constantly. And my mother made me take typing and shorthand, and I did not want to take them, but I excelled at both of them.
I worked for a law firm. This would have been 1982 to about 1985. And they, once a year, had a big party. I remember giant shrimp cocktails. It was delicious. So to go to this party, the firm paid money for all the men to rent tuxedos. And no money was given to the women to go to this party. So it was obviously unfair because a tuxedo rental was over $100, and they could have at least given that much money to women, but we were expected to buy dresses and shoes, and you were expected to come in looking, because this is a big deal. This is a party, a picture is taken. So some of us had decided it was only fair if they gave us the same amount of money to rent a tuxedo, and we would also come to the party in tuxedos because it seemed only fair. And there was 2 or 3 female partners that were with us on that group. Had we done anything? No, but we were talking about it, we were laughing about it, we were like, hey, it's fair, you're not giving us anything. And we got called into a room, and we basically were told we'd lose our job if we did it. I mean, that's how mad they were. Not even mildly open to thinking that perhaps we should give the women something. It was just like, nope, the men need to look good. So back at the time when I was the only female analyst, all the men were getting paid more money than I was, but I was the one receiving the promotions with all the additional work, not to mention supervising them and being paid the least, which was, something I probably should have brought to the attention of my supervisors earlier than I did. But
So that would have been what years?
that would have been 2012 till last year, 2015, where I was doing the job and supervising and being the least, the one paid the least.
Then I took a job with Motorola, and that was also as a secretary to an administrator. But that was kind of a different situation. That guy was, today that would be sexual harassment, big time.
What did he do?
He was touching me inappropriately. He would make little amount. I was 5 foot tall, and wasn't tiny, but I was slight build, and I don't know. It was very uncomfortable, and I didn't know what to do. Now today, you would go to HR and you would put in a complaint, and there might be a lawsuit and who knows what, but you didn't have those options back then. You either tried to figure out, and I didn't know how to handle it, so I quit, and it was a really good job.